It is a surreal sight, a colossal face of an ancient pharaoh weighing several tons, suspended in mid-air by a web of heavy industrial cables. This is a 3,200-year-old masterpiece of the ancient world, being sliced into segments and carried away by modern machinery. The project began in the 1960s, driven by the construction of the Aswan High Dam. Egypt needed the dam to control the Nile's floods and generate electricity for a growing nation. But the resulting Lake Nasser reservoir was rising quickly, threatening to submerge the entire valley and everything inside it. The government faced a brutal timeline: secure the country's energy future or allow thousands of years of human history to be erased by the rising tide. This is the Great Temple of Abu Simbel on its original riverbank site, where it was carved directly into the living rock in the 12th century BC. Ramses II's architects calculated the temple's position to match the exact daily arc of the sun god, Re-Herakti. Twice a year, the sun reaches a specific point in the sky where its rays travel 200 feet into the temple's dark interior, illuminating the statues in the deepest sanctuary. By the time surveyors arrived to document the site, the floodwaters of Lake Nasser were already reaching the temple's base. Relocating these monuments required moving 300,000 tons of rock while preserving a 3,200-year-old astronomical calculation. The first rescue proposal was to move the entire temple at once, treating the mountain as a single payload. Engineers planned to drive galleries beneath the temple and install a grid of hydraulic jacks, mechanical devices that use liquid pressure to lift heavy loads. They hoped to push the temple 180 feet straight up, but the ancient sandstone was too brittle. Even a microseismic vibration or a slight imbalance from the jacks would have shattered the statues instantly. The engineers realized the paradox of the rescue. To save the temple, they would first have to destroy it. Joint venture Abu Simbel, a group of international engineering firms, proposed the final painstaking solution: a block-by-block dissection. Traditional demolition was impossible. The rock was too crumbly, and explosives were strictly banned. Workers surrounded the statues with industrial scaffolding and used specialized hard steel handsaws to slice the monuments into hundreds of separate blocks. This created a new problem. Standard lifting cables or hooks would crush the fragile hieroglyphs and faces under their own weight. Dismantling the site required a completely new way to lift these fragile segments without touching their carved outer surfaces. The solution was an engineering workaround that anchored the blocks from the inside. As shown here, workers drilled holes into the top of each block and filled them with epoxy resin, a strong industrial adhesive. They then inserted steel bolts that hardened into internal anchors. Lifting yokes, steel frames used to distribute weight evenly, connected to these bolts. This allowed heavy cranes to lift the blocks away to a storage plateau without touching the ancient carvings. This high-tech process successfully reduced a colossal ancient monolith into an inventory of thousands of individually numbered stone segments. The new site sat 60 meters higher and safely inland from the lake. But simply stacking the blocks on the plateau was only the first step. To recreate the original landscape, engineers built colossal reinforced concrete domes over the reassembled inner temples. These domes acted as a protective shell, supporting the immense weight of the rock and rubble piled on top of them to simulate a natural cliff face. The engineers had fabricated an entire artificial mountain, hiding a modern concrete bunker inside an ancient desert landscape. The final test of the project's success was the sun. The multi-year relocation would be a failure if the temple's original alignment was lost. This diagram illustrates the math involved. The orientation of the new mountain was calculated so that the sun's rays would still travel cleanly into the sanctuary twice a year, despite the change in elevation. When the project was completed in 1968, the ancient solar alignment worked exactly as it had for 3,000 years. The Abu Simbel relocation proves that even the heaviest machinery of modern progress can be used to preserve the genius of the ancient world.